Sean Myrie, the Down to Earth Network. Live and direct, please subscribe, please subscribe. This episode, beef gives you views, right? Does beef give you views? You know what we're talking about? Online, um, basically fighting, something what's spicy, controversial, people who are going back and forth, people who have an issue with with one another. That's what beef is, right? Does beef give you views? Of course, on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube. If it's a very interesting subject, if it's controversial, you're going to get views. The more people involved with more voices, more views, going through other networks, people talking, commenting, all types of stuff, making content. Even we do it, I do it, but most of the time, that's not what our platform is based on. We talk about a variety of things, but that doesn't necessarily give you views because if you're talking about things that can enlighten, has some knowledge, has some value, that probably won't get that will get filtered and even maybe, be shadow ban as we call shadow ban because they don't want certain messages to go out. So, beef, right? Because I've witnessed this. I've been in it in the past. Beef online, people will bring up your name, people will try to embarrass you, people will try to make you look like you're crazy. They could do all types of things. This is like Hollywood, right? Sometimes you don't know who you're talking to. This is how it goes. People make up a whole bunch of things about you, and then it creates a beef. So, beef, does it give you views? Of course, because like in hip hop, 50 Cents got big off of views. I mean, beefs. He mentioned a lot of people, right? In his one of his main first songs, "How to Rob," something like that. I don't. Correct me if I'm wrong. The name, right? But it was the Power of the Dollar album. 50 Cent had that album, and he came out with the diss to Ja Rule and several other rappers, right? So that made him stand out. And look at 50 Cent today. And what is he known for? Beefing. The biggest beefer probably in rap, you could call it, right? Because he has beef with a lot of rappers throughout the years. So, content online. Does beef get you views? Of course. The more controversial, the more interest. I've seen it on Instagram. If you have a subject that's talking about something controversial, right? It could be political, it could be streetwise, it could be like soap opera with the ladies. That's gonna get the attention. People like negativity. You'll find that's the energy online. It's nothing really, nothing positive you will see online really pushed. It's not going to really get pushed something positive, right? And especially if it's enlightening or like it's giving you information that may be valuable to you, that's going to actually help you. They don't really want to push that. Or if you are going to expose, if you do expose something, right, that really they don't like support to expose, you're not gonna be pushed. It's gonna be what you call shadow ban. I'll give you an example. I done a pod on a couple of subjects, right? Can't remember them all, but that's how much we talk about other things compared to beef, right? It was called, oh yeah, the episode Mr. Beast. I talked about Mr. Beast's friend, right? That his story, he used to be on the show and he had a change, a transformer change, right? And he was talking to an underage individual online. That was the story, if not more than once. But that pod episode, you could tell that was shadow banned. They didn't really want to show that because if you're exposing certain things, they just won't promote that. right? They'll filter that out on YouTube. But if you are talking, for example, about someone who's fighting online, making fun of each other, embarrassing each other, right, or exposing someone, that will get pushed. They will push that. You have to really wonder, how come so much negative things get promoted online? As much as being online could help you make money, you have to look on it. Like, for example, now, all social media, 90% of it is pushing a negative story. You see, Shannon Sharp story you hear about. You're hearing about, for example, No Jumper, that story. It's a bit, and it connects to more stories, but it started from No Jumper, and it amplified other situations until indictment came, right? I've been talking about that. People are into stuff like that. And then the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef. That's the most historical rap beef ever. That's big. People like that. The beef with Kendrick Lamar and Drake still carries on, right? It carries on so much that you hear about a news story, a court case, a lawsuit. Besides the rapping, people are loving it. The meat, you could go make content for days. So that shows you beef gives you views, and beef is the negative energy. There's nothing really positive you seeing get pushed, even if you're enjoying it as entertainment. Like, even call it wrestling. Wrestling is one of the most popular platforms, and what's it based off of? Beef, right? And it gets a lot of views. Wrestling, it's based off of beef, and they have a theatrical visual of fighting, so that proves something. Boxing, UFC, so it's just human nature to be attracted to the negative, to the negative, because like it or not, those actions are negative. But when you're talking about positivity, people uniting, no war, or you're just talking about more positive stuff, that, or you're giving people information, that's not gonna get promoted, right? Anything against the system, they will filter it out. So the beefs will give you views, because everything what I have spoken so far, right? In certain things, it's beef. Even soaps. I remember watching some soap operas with my mother. Which one was it? Young and the Restless. That whole most of it was based off of beef. Young and the Restless was based off of beef. I remember watching some of it, and then as I got older, I was laughing because these old rich people, right? Old rich people, and some of them are young, but old rich people will be having beefs for years in business, in money, all types of shit. So it does give you views. It sells. Movies. It's like the good and evil. So you're seeing the good and evil on social media. Like, they put in movies, they put in art. So the good and evil is this. The good is people could connect with each other, right? And do all types of positive stuff online. But it's how you use the social media, right? Because it is all social media, in a good way. But then you could use it in a very negative way. And that negative way could get people hurt, meaning, right? Look at it, social media. Shannon Sharp, successful football player and sports broadcaster. Social media got him in trouble. Think of it. He was in a relationship with a OnlyFans. He was in a relationship with a OnlyFans girl, right? And that's how he got in the situation, because he went online to find a woman, which was a girl. And now, look, even if he's innocent, his reputation has been smudged, right? And now there's beef. When there's the prosecutor and the defense, that's beef. As long as you're even in court, That's beef. If you're going through the system like Puffy, he's fighting for his life. All these people, even little Dirk, who are locked up, and when they're fighting for their life because of beef. If you look on it, all these people are fighting for their life because of beef. But all these people I mentioned gives you the algorithm. You notice? All these people, they're not saving the world, but they all are going to give you the algorithm. If I talk about Puffy, I'm going to give you an algorithm because Puffy, his career had a lot of beef in it too, right? If I talk about who else, even the president right now, he's going to give you an algorithm. Donald Trump, he's always in beef. Donald Trump's always in beef. So that's going to give you views. You see? See the pattern? All these people get the algorithm online. You see them because they're always, their energy is causing a lot of things to happen, right? And a lot of people start beefing with them, or they're beefing with people. And some become successful off of it, and some they get really hurt from it, right? It's, it seems to me a human nature is attracted to beef because that's what not just sells or gets the views, that's what builds certain people up, right? I had, well, people had online beefs with me, and I've been in those situations before, right? And you don't really want that. As much as in the beginning you feel to, you don't really want that. That's why you got to separate. This is what I do. You separate, especially your family, from social media. You separate them. Some people don't care, but you separate them because those same people, because it's deadly to social media, could use your family against you. You don't know what type of people you're dealing with online. Even though some people think you could be safe where you are, you don't know who you're dealing with unless you don't go anywhere. But if you're a person who goes out and you are a social person and you're social online, it's a different thing. Trust me, it's a different thing. But if you're just online and you're beefing, right, it will give you the algorithm. Trust me, it will give you the algorithm on Instagram. It'll give you it on YouTube. If you're talking about a situation of people beefing, right, in a situation what's most likely negative, it's gonna give you the algorithm. Like the other day, look who uses it a lot. Kanye West. He beefs with everybody, all types of cultures, all types of people. He beefs. He beefs. That's why he gets the attention, and he knows that. That's why you seen Top Five go and visit him because that's the same energy Top Five does. He beefs a lot, and he gets the attention. Kanye beefs a lot. He got the attention too because they know beef gets views. He was beefing with Kanye before he even met him, you know. People, remember that he was beefing with Kanye before he met him. And when he went to visit Kanye, it was near his birthday or something like that, Top Five's birthday. And he gifted him a chain, even though it's controversial. He gifted him, the swastika chain. But it's a lot of money, I bet. It's a lot of money, that chain, what he gave him. That, to me, was like an initiation, right? Like it or not, call it conspiracy or whatever. But he benefited going over there because beef sells, beef gets views. If I talk about Top Five, it's going to get views. If I talk about Kanye, it's going to get views. Now there's this no jumper thing. Every content maker, I swear, is talking about it. That will get you views. Trust me, that will get you views. Talk about no jumper, because like it or not, in this content game, podcast game, Adam 22 has made a name for himself. Adam 22 has made a name for himself that his ratings are going up. Me and the camp, we said this. We were talking about this. All of the stuff, what's going on with Adam 22, he's playing everybody First he said he was broke. Just check that. First he said he was broke. That was for algorithm. Most of the success Adam 22 gets from his show was from beef. The more beef, that's the more views. That's how his show became so popular over most of all these podcasts. You got to think of it. You got to think of it. And he's a white boy. I mean, straight up, he's white in the culture. And his podcast is over more popular, we have to admit it, than, and I like them, $1 million worth of game. Matt Hoffas he's done. Some people are falling out, right? And then there's the Drink Champs, right? I'm looking at the ones that are the biggest. The Drink Champs, they don't put beef on their thing. They may talk about stuff, but they have to give them it. That's a perfect example of creativity that you have. That's a podcast that you don't need to have beef to make yourself get views, right? But not a lot of people know how to balance it. A lot of people concentrate on one thing. That's boring. I cannot concentrate on one thing. Beef, beef, beef. I do have a lot of content based off of beef recently, but we got a library of things talking about many subjects, all types of stuff, information. It might be controversial, very controversial that they don't want it commercial. Kind of sounds, it kind of rhymes. Yeah, some of the stuff is very controversial. So it will not get pushed because but it's controversial in a different type of sense, political sense, history sense, science sense. So it's a science beef, it's a political beef, it's history beef. Things what's real, what's been going on. Things are going on now, but these type of beefs you see, especially in the hip hop, urban music, whatever culture if it is, it's ridiculous. Some of it, especially a lot of the stuff going on with hip hop for a couple of years. A lot of young artists getting killed. You know why they're getting killed? Especially in Chicago because of beef. They made a genre of music called drill music based off of beef. You have to think of it. And the music got a lot of attention. It grew so much that it went to England, from America to England to Canada, right? Drill music is so controversial that the governments in America, especially New York, wanted to ban it. A lot of the rappers who do drill been targeted throughout the years. The the one who's the most famous for the drill, the godfather of it is Chief Keef, right? And all those guys who come out of Chicago, they're like the godfathers of drill. But it's big in England and now in New York, especially the East Coast. Drill music that's based off of beef, and they get views. Those guys who do drill music talk about the most deadly gutterous stuff, and they got big off of it, probably rich off of it because they corner a market. They probably got rich off of cornering a market of beef, and it worked for them. Still working for some of them, right? Okay, they call him a rat, right? What's his name? Takashi 69. Most of his career, what I know of, is based off of beef, online beefing with everybody, and he's known as the snitch. He beefs and gets attention. I'm gonna put out the list, and people want to call him a rat, right? Okay, then you got Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy, he beefs a lot online, and he goes viral because of what he says. He says a lot of spicy stuff, and he knows it because he gets the views, right? Soldier Boy. And then you got Charleston White. This guy just comes out of nowhere. Some people call him a big mouth. He says he's a comedian. He's controversial, talking down on black people, talking about everybody. And they call him the biggest rat. The hip hop police, Charleston White. But what does he? He's big. He's probably trying to be the heavyweight of beef. You know how much people he called out, Charleston White? He must be the heavyweight of beef. And he knows that. This man probably had a lot of accounts shut down. And what does he base this stuff off of? Beef. He talked about rappers, all type of people, celebrities, all type of people. He called out a lot of people, celebrities. He beefed with Ti. For a long time, he was beefing with Ti. Then Boozy. Boozy and Ti, the two biggest ones I know. He's talked about. Who else did he talk about? Any West Coast guys he talked about? Gangs. This man talk about the Crips. This guy talk about the Gangster Disciples. This guy talk about all these rappers who are involved in things. Beef. Beef giving him the views. He knows it. That's the news. So this is how it goes. I seen this. And for example, this no jumper situation. Some people who have YouTube pages, you never seen them get this much attention until this no jumper situation. They weren't saying nothing really before this controversy came up. I only see, and with the big platforms, there's only a few, not a lot. It's funny. The biggest platforms, they're not covering this. Like only academics covered this, and no jumper really covered this. The big ones, right? But they're not really covering it, but it's out there, which is spreading to share to many. But you see these smaller channels, believe me, I've seen people with not big channels the size of ours, right? And they're getting more views than even some bigger channels because of this beef, this no jumper. You could see some channels what never was they weren't really getting no traffic, but because of this whole thing with like Whack 100 and the Big U and the loose cannons, you are seeing certain platforms with more traffic. If you talk about this, because this is beef every day, I've been following it. I have a couple episodes on it, but every day almost, it's like there's different episodes. There's like 20 different platforms, big and small. Not too big, I should say. Only the biggest I've seen was Rick Rock, Compton Rick Rock, with over 100 what thousand subscribers. But other than that, everybody is not really that big, but they're talking about it and they're getting the views because it's beef. Whack 100 is a known character. Adam 22 is the biggest podcast he has going on. So one of the biggest podcasts in the whole game going on. And he's talking about the street shit. His whole platform theme is based off of the streets. And Whack 100 is a character who's been around in the industry from the West Coast and always talks a lot of people's business and involves himself with a lot of people. And it's a coincidence that the people that he involves himself with, some of them are incarcerated or he's associated through Adam 22 because Adam 22 is having these characters on his platform. Adam 22 be having these characters on his platform, right? He had Brick Baby on it, right? He had a whole bunch of people I can't even name on there. I think 600 for extra. All these guys I'm mentioning, they are controversial. So the beefs are started through conversations online and because of certain events what happened and through histories with each other, this beef is continued and spilled out to other people, spilled out to the content makers, spilled out for people to know all this business what people are putting out. If they don't put out these stuff online, we do not know. If they're not talking, we do not have content to make, and that is great content of people like beef. I've mentioned a couple examples of beef so far to you. The media, the algorithm gravitates to beef. If you ain't talking about nothing what's gonna shock people, it ain't gonna get the algorithm and the views. So that's the key. You have to have beef to get that algorithm. You have to have beef to get that algorithm. Sorry for the technical difficulties. But I don't need to say much because there's so much stories out there of beef. Political, right? Controversial, right? All types of stuff. Beef gives you views. It's an easy thing to figure out. It's just, do you want to base your platform just on that? Right? I know we don't. We have our platform on all digital platforms, meaning I don't even know how much, at least 50 platforms and all types of subjects, not one thing. I realize the beef gives you the algorithm and the attention, but the longevity, I don't want to be known for that. Respect to everybody else. So please subscribe to the platform, Down to Earth Network, Down to Earth Podcast. Does beef give you views? Right? Check it out.